The Torah has a way of calling out human behavior thousands of years before we invent the vocabulary for it. Yitro, or Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, looks at Moses, the greatest leader our people ever had, and he says to him, Navol tibol, gam ata gam ha'am hazeh, ki kavet mimcha hadavar. You will surely wear yourself out, both you and these people, because the task is too heavy for you. In other words, he's saying, Moses, if you keep doing this, you're going to burn out. Moses is sitting all day listening to the people, trying to solve their problems or guide them. And the people are standing around him from morning until night. Every dispute, every complaint, every question, every conflict is coming to him. Moses is the only address for everything. And Jethro says, with love, but also with total clarity, hey, this is not good. This is not sustainable. And it isn't only going to harm you, it's going to harm the people too. That part is key. Jethro says, you will wear yourself out, both you and the people. Meaning, when a community depends too much on one person, it doesn't just exhaust the leader. It exhausts everyone. It creates long, frustrating lines, stagnation, and resentment. It turns the community into a place where people wait instead of a place where people grow. Yitro is essentially teaching Moses and teaching us that Jewish life cannot be built on one heroic figure, not even on Moses. What's also remarkable is when this story appears. It appears right before Sinai, before the Ten Commandments, before Revelation. The Torah is telling us that before we can receive Torah, we need a structure capable of holding Torah. Before the people can become a covenantal nation, they need a system that can support justice, leadership, and responsibility. Parashah Yitro gives us what might be the Torah's first organizational chart. Jethro tells Moses, you need to delegate. You need to appoint others. You need people who can lead. You need layers of responsibility. Leaders of tens, 50s, hundreds, and thousands. Let others handle the smaller matters and let the most difficult cases come to you. It's easy to think of that as bureaucracy, but the Torah is treating it as holiness. Because in Judaism, systems are not the opposite of spirituality. Systems are how spirituality becomes real. Justice doesn't happen just because we believe in justice. Justice happens because we build courts. Community doesn't happen just because we have warm feelings about community. Community happens because we build structures that allow people to show up, contribute, and belong. And Yitro's wisdom is not just about Moses' well-being, it's about the people's growth. Because when everything runs through one person, the people become passive. They wait and they depend and they don't develop confidence or responsibility or leadership. They don't become partners. They become spectators. I want to share something very personal. As a rabbi, I love being the rabbi of my community. I love teaching Torah and classes. I love the rhythm of Shabbat and holidays. I love celebrating all the simchas and also supporting people through difficult times. I love the small moments of Jewish life that most people never see. The phone calls, the emails, the visits, the pastoral conversations, the planning, the behind-the-scenes work of keeping a community strong. And I also want to say something that I think is deeply connected to this week's Torah portion. A synagogue is a miracle held together by volunteers. We are blessed with wonderful volunteers. People who step forward again and again. People who lead service, they chant the Torah and the Haftarah, they set up, they cook, they clean, they organize, they welcome others, they plan, and they give their time with generosity and with love. And I want to say clearly, from the heart, thank you. But I also want to say gently, there are so many pieces and more help is always wanted. Not because we don't have wonderful volunteers, we do. But because if the same group carries everything, eventually even the best people wear out. Even the most devoted people get stretched thin and the community becomes fragile because it begins to depend on the same few individuals. And this is exactly what Yitro is warning Moses about. Because Moses is also human. And because a system that depends on one person is not a good system. The Torah is teaching us that leadership is not about doing everything. True leadership is about creating a community where others can lead too. Yitro gives Moses criteria for how he should be appointed. Who should be appointed? Capable people, trustworthy people, people of integrity, people who cannot be bought. In other words, the Torah has leadership that is not about being charismatic. It's not about being loud. It's not about being famous. It's about character and accountability. And that's why this passage feels so relevant today. And not only in synagogues, but everywhere. In all institutions, in families, in workplaces, in civic life, in our democracy. We live in a time where people are suspicious of systems. People are suspicious of institutions. People want everything to be personal and immediate. And there is something else that Yitro is teaching us that I think we need to hear in our time. Being indispensable is not a compliment. It's a warning sign. When a community cannot function without one person, that is not strength. That is weakness. That is fragility. A community is meant to be carried by many shoulders. Soon after this story, the people will stand at Sinai and enter into covenant. And later, we will speak of the Jewish response. Naaseh v'nishma. We will do and we will listen. These are words of collective responsibility. We will do. Not Moses will do. Not the rabbi will do. Not the president or the board will do. Not the same handful of volunteers will do. We will do. That is what it means to be a covenantal people. So I want to offer a gentle invitation. If you are already volunteering here or in other institutions, please know that you are deeply appreciated. You are the reason that Jewish life happens here. And I want you to feel supported and not stretched to the breaking point. And if you are not volunteering yet, or you're only loosely involved, I want to say, there is a place for you. Not necessarily something huge, not a lifetime commitment. Something real, a role, a task, a way to step forward and help carry the community. Because the synagogue does not belong to the rabbi, it belongs to the people who show up. It belongs to the people who take responsibility. It belongs to the people who say, I am part of this. May we be blessed to build a community where responsibility is shared, where volunteers are honored, where systems are strong, where no one person burns out, and where each of us can say with sincerity, Naaseh v'nishma, we will do together.